Hello everyone, thanks ever so much for joining me today. I have Milo with me and I'll explain why we're not out in the fields in a few moments. He's just enjoying his lunch. Well, welcome back. Thanks for joining us today. Yes, I'm going to need to come outside into our garden shed, and they always say, do they not, that every man needs a shed. And I've got a shed here. Here it is. It's full of, useful things. A radio that still just about works. Some electrical points. Loads of tools. Lawnmower. Bicycle. It's just about everything is here. Well, thanks for joining us, as I said. And the reason Milo's unable to join with me out in the fields today is because sadly he has got an injury at the moment. And about 3 weeks ago, I came down one morning and he was hardly able to move. And after several visits to the vets and then finally having an x-ray, we have been able to discover what exactly is going on with him. And he has got one or two slip discs along with a smaller left hip on the left side at the back. And it's a little bit smaller, and he's got arthritis setting in, and he's extremely tender in that area. Because of that, he needs to rest. He's unable to go out on runs with me and walks with me, and that's really disappointing for us both, but he needs the inflammation to settle down. But the very, very short walks that I have been able to do with him just around from the house, just to give him a weeny bit of exercise. Just lately, I've been walking underneath a very large oak tree. And I want to talk to you today about a saying that most of you will be very familiar with from little acorns, large oaks grow, or large oaks can appear. And I got with me today in my hand an acorn, and I have seen literally thousands of these, probably hundreds of thousands of these in the last few weeks that have been on the ground underneath one particular large oak tree. But out in the countryside, they're all over the place and been very slippery actually to walk on them. It's been on the pavement and on the grass and even falling onto the roadside. Today I want to talk to you about something that maybe you have had as a seed in your heart, that's been planted in your heart, and you want it to grow. And at the moment, you're yet to see the oak tree, so to speak. Well, the other day I came into this little shed with one of our grandchildren, and together we planted some acorns in these little pots. And I was telling my 4-year-old granddaughter that actually it won't grow instantly. You need to be patient. In fact, it might not grow at all. It's only God that will enable it to grow. And we were talking about this, and she was getting a little bit frustrated. Well, when will I see, Granddad, the acorn begin to grow? And I showed her one that had already started. This is about nearly 2 years old. That is looking healthy and is growing really well. And I said, well, actually, we're going to need to wait a long time. Next spring, maybe we'll be able to see that it's sprouted and begun to grow, but it's going to be several years before you will see a tree like out into the fields. And of course, acorns need to be carefully looked after, nurtured, propagated in a pot, get them established, and then they need to be established for several years before maybe you plant them in a suitable place. And even then, it takes many years for an oak tree to grow the height of myself, to be, say, 2 meters in height, but it takes several years. And then the large oak trees that we might see can be hundreds and hundreds of years in age. And as I was reflecting on this with our granddaughter and reflecting on this myself, I was thinking about things that may be in your life that God has planted in your heart as a vision for something in the future, and as yet you have not seen it grow. And I want to say to you this morning, if that is something that God has indeed planted in your heart, it will eventually grow, because what God grows, what God sows, he grows. What God puts into our hearts that is of him, areas of our life that he wants us to grow in, things that we might have need for faith in, then if God is in it, then it's going to come to pass. But for us, it's difficult because we want to see things here and now. We live in an instant society. That's why we purchase instant coffee. We struggle to wait for anything. We stand at a microwave and we stand and we wait and we look at our watch if we have a watch. We look at ourselves, we pace up and down, waiting for 2 minutes and 30 seconds to elapse in order for us to have something to eat or to drink. We want things right here. We want them right now. And it could well be that at the moment you're needing to hear this from me. You're needing to hear this from God, that the things that God has planted in you will come to grow. It could be I'm speaking to someone who's really excited about something in their life. And maybe that excitement is beginning to wane because you're yet to see it come to pass. It could be that I'm speaking to someone who has longed for things to change in their family, maybe in their church, maybe in their work situation, in your relationships. And you're longing for that to happen. God has birthed something in you and you're really struggling to fully understand that it hasn't yet come to pass. Well, that's where faith comes in, believing in things that as yet that we cannot see. God sometimes births in the hearts of church leaders and churches to make enormous steps of faith. And sometimes we can all struggle with those steps of faith. And maybe you're struggling with that at the moment. You know that the step of faith looks right. You know that God is a God of miracles. You know that God can make it happen. But actually your faith is a little bit weak right now. Well, I want to just say to you today, have faith in God to bring it to pass. Have confidence in him. He will bring it to pass. Look to him. Trust him. And learn something called patience. You see, this little acorn is going to take a long, long time before it grows. And certainly a very, very long time until it becomes a mature tree that we could find shelter behind. And I want to say to you today, if you're struggling to see things come into being, to trust in God, that God will bring it to be. When I planted this acorn a couple of years ago, I didn't know whether it would grow or not, and I just put it there in the pot. And then one morning I came out and I saw the first signs of growth and of life. And it could be that today this little message for you is a sign to you to not give up, to not walk away from the vision that God's put into your heart, to not be afraid that it may never ever come into to being. If God has birthed it, as I said before, it will come to pass. Thank you so much for watching. Keep looking up, keep trusting in God, keep believing that from very, very small beginnings, great things can come. And the little small things that maybe you put into to prayer and you ask God to help you in, could be 5 years ago even, might even be 10 years ago. There's one particular thing right now I'm praying to come into being, but I can't yet see it, but I'm praying for it. I believe God is birthing that in my heart to come to pass, but it will only be God. It will only be God that makes it grow. Well, keep trusting in him as I need to do. Thanks so much for watching. I hope this is an encouragement to you, especially those of you who've planted an acorn and you're waiting for it to grow. You're longing for it to be a mighty oak tree. Well, God says when we sow to him, then we will see the harvest, we will reap. We sow in tears, we will reap in joy. Continue to sow, continue to have faith, continue to have vision, continue to have hope in God, continue to believe that he is a God who is able to do beyond your wildest imagination and dreams, for he is a God that is able. So from my little shed, I wish you every blessing and I look forward to speaking to you once again. If you haven't as yet subscribed to the channel Talking About Jesus, I'd love for you to do that. Please do that and click a like. It really helps in the future for other people to find these little messages. So thanks for joining me, and I pray that in the future I'll be joined by Milo once again in the fields as he recovers. So you all take care, and I'll speak to you soon.